Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the show. I appreciate it. Make sure you say hello on your way in and make sure, most importantly, that you hit the like button. Thank you so much for checking out the show. I appreciate it. Deborah Hutchinson is in the house. Good evening to you. Good evening to you, my girl Les. Thank you so much, so much, so much for coming on. I'm going to put the comments on so you should be able to see him on the side here. I did change the time to 7:45 so people might come in, but I did whatever I was doing. I finished that a little bit early. So we're back here and we're back here live and all that kind of good stuff. And I really, really appreciate it. Yoli, hola to you. Hola to you. Thank you so much for checking out the show. I do appreciate it. If you're watching the show in the future, make sure you hit the like button. If there's anything you want me to talk about, make sure you hit me on my email, Big L with two G's, Big L PhD at gmail.com. High vibe. Welcome to the show. Appreciate it. You guys have been staples of mine, and I really, really do appreciate it. Garrett, what's up? What's going on? What's going on? Angela Amby, good evening, Dr. L, and everyone from Philly. Yes. Are you saying good evening to everyone who's from Philly, or you're expressing that you're from Philly and saying hello to everyone? I think I know which one it is. I'm just messing around. All right. So we're going to get into it, right? So I'm going to talk about this debate that's going on. I mean, between two YouTubers I kind of follow Shay Sharday and Sabby Sabs. We're going to talk a little bit about them, but and what they got going on, and they've been Shay Sharday has kind of been going at Sabby Sabs a little bit, but we'll get into that in a minute here. And for brief, making Greek herbal mountain tea before bachata dance class. Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. Enjoy the tea. Bachata, yeah. Listen, man, I really got to practice, and I just saw Instagram. I saw an Instagram what was it? Instructional video about how to do a salsa dance and all that kind of stuff. I can't dance, so I'm one of those brothers that have to practice, right? It's just some people got it, some people don't. All right, so we're gonna play a couple warm-up videos as we do while people stroll on in here. Make sure you hit the like button, get the people up in here. As I mentioned, we said we're gonna start at 7:30, then I said 7:45, but then we're here right now. So, all right, so first we got a couple of warm-up videos, and today our theme is we're going to be speaking about this issue that's going on between Sabby Sabs, and we're going to look at Black women's marriageability. So that'll become evident as we go on here. So here we go.
With these new ninjas, I swear. Now the new thing is, I like women who like me. If she don't show interest, I ain't chasing nobody. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it in a man's nature to hunt?
Absolutely. It's in a man's nature to hunt for food, not his woman. Okay. This is the reason why men go out and get jobs, accumulate resources, things that would attract the opposite sex. Keyword being attract. This is the main reason why he said he's not going to chase a woman who's not interested in him, because it doesn't make sense. If we have money, resources, and we are providing you protection, why would we chase you when everything you desire we possess? That doesn't make sense. And the fact that you're calling men weird or sassy or whatever because they want the woman they're with to actually like them, that's just nasty work.
Because of those bonds.
So that is the first video that's up. So her question is, how, again, this comes back to the question of how come guys aren't chasing? How come guys aren't, seeming to be weak, less masculine, sassy, all this type of terminology that we talked on here before? How come men don't seem to be as engaged or as hungry or as much of hunters from times past? And this is the theme for tonight or the topic for tonight is, what's up with that? And we want to look at it from what's going to become more evident as we go along. Shay Sharday's perspective is that the women out there are less desirable. You all in the chat, I'm not speaking to you all, but this is what a lot of guys are seeing. This is what a lot of guys are seeing. Again, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Next brother up on the video here is he's gonna be talking about bonnets, something I talked about. A lot of people just have a problem with it. And our cultural ethnic image, the cultural ethnic image that we got going on.
Bonnets and pajamas y'all wearing in these airports on these planes, they're gonna change the dress code.
Yep.
Pretty soon Hartsville is going to have a dress code where you can't wear that shit at all, because every time I go to the airport, bonnets, house shoes, them big fluffy ass house shoes from the beauty supply store, pajamas and a pillow, all that. And guess what? It don't be nobody but us. It's embarrassing. You lose so much credibility on site when you have that. You don't need it. But if you say something to one of them, you're going to get your ass cussed out. Another fad, and I don't know why they hadn't gotten rid of this, brothers with these sagging pants.
Sagging and a skinny jeans.
Sagging skinny jeans. You can't pull them up.
You can't walk, you can't run.
I tried to end it, and it didn't work out well. I overdid it a little bit. The young adults were around me wearing a lot of sagging pants. And I'm like, dude, if you're going to do it, go all the way. So I went on home, put some on, but I ain't had no drawers on. And it didn't work out. Some nigga jumped on me.
I don't even want, oh, I'm sure they did.
No diddy. Because.
Yeah, so that's a brother who's criticizing both the men and the women there. And the first video I played was from a YouTuber. Actually, did I do a reaction to him on he was on Fox Soul. I meant to do a reaction to him on Fox Soul, and he was talking about the first video I played with the guy with the beard. He was on Fox Soul having a good conversation about what's going on. I can't remember if I did a review of that or not. I meant to if I didn't. Let's see. Good evening to you, Y Square. Good evening. This man is spot on. I went on a natural grocers today before home and was asked an attractive nurse out for a coffee. And she looked at me with a look of contempt, disgust, and just said, no thanks, and walked. So if you can't understand, why a lot of brothers aren't approaching, it's this type of interaction that Garrett and others are having. It's okay to turn a man down. It's okay to say, but why do you got to look at him? Why do you got to look at him as if he's disgusting? Of course, I wasn't there. I don't know what your brother said or how he was dressed or whatever. So we'll see. Pandering a business, LMAO. Men can't ask to even be liked today. Yeah, I mean, it's too much. It's too much. I'm a woman over 50, and most men my age want younger women. Where do I fit in? I did a video about that, dating over 50, and somebody asked me to do a video about dating over 60. So I don't know. I mean, I really would like to hear that experience, what it is and all that. Because I hear that that's a problem. I hear it. I'm what I'm saying is I hear it not only in my ears, but I can understand that may be a problem. Is dating younger an option? So, but I'd like to have more ladies come up here and talk about that. Maybe I'll ask Anita to talk about that. So we'll see about that. But I hear that. All right, next video is up.
We don't have a race problem in this country. We have a problem race. And this has nothing to do with skin color. This has something to do with the behavior that is coming from a certain group of people, Black people, that is not okay. Let me be the one to break it to you. They're calling you the N-word and they're treating you like the N-word because you're acting like the N-word, okay? This is how you're acting, and even your own ancestor would be repulsed by your behavior. The disgusting behavior that is coming from you guys is absolutely repulsive, and I am so tired of seeing you guys come across my screen doing the most absolutely animalistic things possible. It is disgusting. And you don't want to talk about the facts. You don't want to talk about how we need to fix the households and how we need to pay attention to the children and how we need to do better for ourselves. You want to blame white people. Go figure. You guys are completely disgusting. And I promise I will die on my feet talking about this before I die on my knees serving the degenerate behavior that is coming out of the Black community. It is absolutely ridiculous. And of course, I have to do my disclaimer. You guys know I'm not talking about all Black people, but I am talking about the Black people that makes it harder for Black people like myself and good Black people that want to do good things in this country. I am talking about the degenerates. I'm talking about you guys. We don't have a race.
So that's a sister right there who seems to be fairly young, probably in her late 20s or early 30s or so, and who's sick of it. Don't get me wrong, a lot of us are sick of it. We're sick of seeing these fights on airplanes and fights in schoolyards and fights all over the place in restaurants and all kind of stuff, right? So we're all sick of it, but how do we correct the community, right? And so, these people who are grown, I'm not even looking at them. In all honesty, if you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s and fighting and don't know how to treat people and don't know how to have conversations and don't have any type of emotional regulation, I'm not even talking to or about anyone who thinks along those lines. But the main thing is fixing this for the children, right? And being raised in better homes, creating a better environment, creating a better education system. This is all the stuff that I'm talking about here. Guys need to start grilling women on how many men they ask out in a person and show interest. If they can't do the same, why should we continue? By the way, the woman today was older than myself, but kept up. Okay, very good. Guys need to start grilling women on how many men they ask out, how many men they ask out in a person and show interest to. Are you expecting the women to ask the men out on the dates? I'm not sure if I understand what you're saying there. You want to know how many women the men are asking out? Probably low, right? Or are you suggesting that there's not showing a lot of men interest because the vast majority of women don't find men to be attractive? I guess that's what you mean. I'm not exactly sure. Rhonda, good evening to you. Good evening to you. Okay, gotcha. Yes, precisely. They're probably not asking any of them out. They're probably not asking any of them. They don't find us to be attractive, right? A lot of this has to do with a lot of entitlement that's going on these days and all that. So, yeah. All right, next video, and we're gonna see some of this degenerate behavior that she's talking about.
I'm not splitting no check. I told them to get separate. I'm not splitting no check with y'all, so I don't know why y'all trying to split no check. I'm not doing it. I didn't eat all that y'all ate. Y'all getting drinks, y'all didn't get all that. I got this. No, it don't matter. It's my birthday. I got it paid for. We're not gonna do this birthday. So y'all trying to split the check? Don't pay for your shit. I'm paying for my own shit. We need to get separate checks. I'm not splitting no check. I can't wait till 24 hours up. Why would I split a check with y'all? Why would I split a check though? I'm paying for my own shit. I'm not splitting no check because I didn't eat all that. Got drinks and all that y'all got. But we always do that. I don't always do a fuck thing. I don't eat with y'all. I be by myself. I be by myself. I ain't by I'm paying for my side. I don't eat with y'all. I'm not splitting no. Y'all drink no more of this bottle though. I ain't got to. You ain't got to. I'm drunk now. You feeling great? I'm drunk now. You feeling great?
Now, obviously, we see the vulgar language and all that kind of stuff, right? So the vulgar language is actually a problem that I don't appreciate. I can't stand this. I don't care what anybody says. Just my own personal opinion. I do not like when women are swearing. Just every other word out of your mouth is f this, f that, and ninja this, ninja that. That just turns me off. Just turns me off. And I want to know how many ladies up in the building here have argued about splitting these checks. If I ever go out with anyone, and I'm talking about dudes, whatever. Excuse me. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I don't know if I've ever been out with a bunch of dudes and we had appetizers or whatever, beers, whatever we're drinking or whatever. Even though I don't drink like that, and they say, let's split the check. I think that's completely a woman thing. And I've been out with couples and talking about, okay, let's just, the bill is whatever. Let's just throw out a number, $200. And you do your adding up, right? You only, you only had some wings or wings and a drink or whatever, and yours is $20. I'm not putting in $50 and I only spent 20. I'm not doing that. And if anybody in that group has suggested that, that's the last time I'm going out with those people. That's just me. That's just me. Yoli says she never experienced that. I've experienced that. And only when there's women in the group, let's just split the check. 4 people go out, and you got maybe it's let me make it bigger. You got 3 couples that go out. That's 6 people. You got a $200 bill or whatever like that. Whatever that mathematically would come out to. I'm not gonna try to do that. I'm not if I didn't order this stuff, I'm not paying for it. I'm not paying for it. So that's just me. Let's see. Yeah, asking men out in person, and they don't find 80% attractive based on OkCupid site and others attractive even to begin with. Yeah, yeah. So they don't find most men attractive. So they're probably not. And a lot of ladies don't want to approach. They think it's masculine to approach. They believe in being the passenger princesses and all this other type of stuff, right? So, yeah. Always get separate checks when eating out with others. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Let's see. I think no experiment, no arguments. We just pay our part. Wow. Well, that's great. but I've been on situations like that more than once. And like I said, if I see you doing one time, that's the last time we're going out. Last time we're going out. You know, and of course, the advice to get split the check is always the best advice. I never experienced having to split the check at a restaurant. I'm only paying for what I ordered, not paying for your steak when I only had chicken strips. Exactly. My circle is small and well behaved. Well, man, that's great, Yoli. I wish we could all do that. Where you at now, Yoli? I mean, you were in Toronto and Guyana. Where you at now? None of the women I know when we go out display this type of behavior, man. I'm actually great to hear that. Glad to hear that. Unfortunately, you guys. Well, I don't mean this in a bad way, but the people who need to hear this. This is what I'm saying. Unfortunately, people who need to hear these types of messages and how to behave themselves when they're in public and not to embarrass people and all this kind of stuff, don't listen to these type of podcasts, right? They just don't, and it's an uphill battle for us to try to collectively change and fix our cultural image, right? So, guys, understand that we pay our own way, even if invited. Yeah, that's definitely true. This is young girls, not grown, responsible women. I've seen this in 40-year-olds. I've seen this in 40-year-olds, New York. I've seen it in 40-year-olds, unfortunately. This stuff I'm talking about is not 20-year-old stuff. I mean, people who are 20 years old, right? I agree with you, Dr. L. That lady's behavior was unnecessary. Absolutely. Still in Toronto, leaving next week. Okay, where you headed to after that? Miss World Traveler there. We were young once, never was an issue then. Yeah, well, I mean, you guys are great. I'm telling you, this has happened to me. All right, next video up is exemplifying the the analysis of a lot of guys saying you can't listen to what a woman is saying out of her mouth. You have to listen to what she says, and what she says she wants is not always what she goes to or gravitates towards, I should say. Hit the like button on your way, and if you have not hit the like button, please hit the like button. Let's get some more people up in here. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button.
And men, we'll start with that one first.
Y'all can't keep y'all dick in y'all pants. That's a lack to me. It's like you have to have a bunch of a bag of women to be like, or they feel like loving one person is not okay. Like you could have this person at home and you love her and you know you love her, but it's weird, like because of your friends maybe or the people you're around maybe to say, hey, I'm in love for real. No.
You know what? I challenge you on that. Just, being a man myself, men are always going to respond to what the women reward. From your earliest days in school till us being adults, women have always rewarded the player. They've always rewarded the nigga with all the hoes.
I agree with
They've
that.
always rewarded the popular guy. They've always rewarded the guy with so when you say like men are lacking, they can't keep their dick in their pants, I would say that women reward that behavior, so it will always be a thing. You know what I'm saying? Now, if women was talking to like, oh, you got a lot of hoes, I don't like men like that, I only like faithful men, then men will be incentivized to be faithful.
Be real. Who wants the simp or the person that is the quote unquote lame?
So then it's not men lacking that.
But it is. I mean, just like it is.
It's not.
It is. Y'all lack. Okay.
Who wants that?
But
unfortunately, it cuts off there. I would like to hear the whole podcast there. These are just clips that I get off of Instagram. So she's saying she wants a guy who's going to be faithful, who's going to be, who has, I think what she's saying is, I want this guy who has the ability to cheat. Everybody wants him, right? He's got swag. He's not lame, corny, whatever she said there. But also at the same time, I want you to be faithful and loyal and all this kind of stuff. But you're rewarding this guy because he's going to go after if he's a good dude, he's got the swag you want, you're going to chase him. And then next thing you know, if he's got a baby dad, if he's a baby daddy and he's not taking care of his kids or whatever he's doing, you continue to go after those types of dudes. Again, as we talked about a little while ago, most men are just invisible. So listen, guys got to step to get their game up. Yes, I agree with that, but you can't reward this type of behavior. If the guy's no good, he's no good, right? So, but having people understand that is difficult. Although some 50-year-old men may want to date much younger men, most don't have the financial means to be a sugar daddy. Women are not interested in dating old men. I don't know why people continue to say that. That's not true. It's not true. So, I mean, yeah, it's not true. I mean, a guy who's in shape, a 50, 60-year-old guy who's in shape can definitely get a 20, 30, 40-year-old woman. So I'm not exactly sure why this continues to be a statement. So, I mean, you got the key word is being in shape, and yeah, you got to have some money. So I personally am not going to be a sugar daddy and nobody, but that's just me. It's just that women don't talk about all the men it's just that women don't talk about all the men. They only talk about a certain type of man, but say the word men that brings out every type of man. Right. So that's exactly the point. Most men are invisible. So when they say men, they're talking about the 20% of men. Oh, this guy's unfaithful. These guys are dogs. These guys are unfaithful. It's the 20% of men that you're looking at. But the 21st men or the guys that fall in a different percentile, that might make a really great man. He might have the emotional maturity, financial security, and all this other stuff that you want. I'm just saying. So, but when you really listen to what type of guy she's talking about, it's a tip guy. Yeah, top guy. Absolutely. Let's see. It's a top guy. Fair, exactly. We call it pretty privilege. Right. That's sad that she equated respectful men as simps. This is what I'm saying. They all say it. Lames, cornies, right? You don't have any swag. You don't have any edge. They all say it. It's crazy. It's crazy. But why is she allowed to want what she wants but can't get or keep that guy, whatever she's saying? I find that interesting too. Black man is fair, because I see a lot of women on these podcasts talking about this, right? I'm dating these guys, this, that, and the other. And it never clicks to them that you're going on multiple dates with multiple guys, or even one date with one guy, even though you're attracting them, you can't ever keep these dudes. And it never clicks in their mind. Yeah, I've dated, I've been on 10 dates in 2 months. 10 different dates in 2 months. Okay, well, why aren't you keeping these guys? What is not making them not stick around? Are they not faithful? Are they not interested? Are you not interested? I mean, what's they never kind of click with that type of mentality there, right? Well, guys aren't trying to go for women like her who talk like her. Well, that's true. Yeah. Fair because women. Yeah. Men literally encourage guys that want one woman to get more women. Men set the brand for what is seen as masculine amongst men. Men literally invited derogatory words for men that love one woman, and invented derogatory words for men. I think there's a little bit of truth to that. Men literally encourage guys that want women to get more than a woman. I don't know how true that statement is. I see a lot of guys in my circle encouraging men not to mess up their families, to go home to their wives, encouraging not to do that. And that was in my time in church and the PD, my vast experiences, particularly in the police department. We told guys out all the time, listen, go home to your woman, go home to your kids. Did they do it all the time? No. So I don't know how true of the statement that is. Men set the brand for what is seen as masculine among men. I don't agree with that. I don't agree. I think that's a 50-50 statement. I think that's 50% true. Men set the standard. But again, just the previous video that we played talked about you reward that. If all the women in the world wanted the geeky guy who was a tech guy who couldn't speak, who was wearing thick glasses and Urkel shirts and all that kind of stuff, if you went after that type of guy, that would be the man that everybody was trying to be, because that is the reward system. It's because you go after the muscular guy, the guy with the swag. He's a lumberjack. He's driving a Harley. Whatever it is you're looking for, that is what is rewarded. So yeah, men may look at that and say, man, this guy's a good guy. He's a NFL stars, big weightlifter or whatever. So I think that there's some truth to that. It's a 50-50 conversation. Men might say, yeah, I want to be like that just physically, but why does he want to be like that? Not only because of his prowess and his abilities, but also because he is seen as or they see the amount of attention he gets from the ladies. So men literally invented derogatory words for men that love women. Well, I think women do that too, right? Go out there, particularly now, like, right? Go. Why are you having one guy go out there and enjoy yourself, sow your royal oats or whatever the equivalent would be for women? So I think that it's kind of going both ways there. But I do appreciate the comment. Men can actually fix every situation. Women can just talk about it. Explain that a little bit more. Yes, thank you so much for that high buy. Please hit the like button. Let's see. Kevin Seaman socialized women to only want high value men. They were admonished not to want average. I don't agree with that, Mackie. I think he was stating what is. He was saying that this is the situation that ought to be. Or excuse me, not ought to be, but the situation that is. A man who's on his game, on his purpose, making money, making moves, socially adept, socially in the hierarchy, well connected, LinkedIn level, all these other words that he used. I think the women wanted that type of man, and that's what it was. So he encouraged people to be that. His message was toward. I talked about this numerous times about Kevin Simmons. What his message was. His message was he first mostly he was talking to high value men, right? Then he talked about men becoming high value men. And remember, for the first 3 years, people always forget this. For the first 3 years before he blew up, he was talking to men. Stop trying to date if you're broke. Get into the gym, work out, eat right, exercise. Get your finances up. Get your wardrobe up. Here's some colognes you guys should be wearing. For 3 years, he did that. He talked about there's a video that he did about not simping and all this kind of stuff, right? So he's talking to men about that type of thing. So don't ever forget that, right? And the video that blew him up was when he mentioned to a woman that you're an average woman and what you don't qualify for this high value man. He wasn't saying not to be an average man. He was saying that, and he often said, if there's average men out there, those men deserve love too, and an average woman should be with an average man. What the problem is that average women were overlooking the average man. Everything we've already said in this show already, that 80% of men are unattractive and invisible to average men. We've already said that, right? They date older men for financial purposes only. I don't know about it. Well, I mean, it's primary. I don't know about only, but primary. I'm 51 and would date up to 65 if he's in shape. Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Here's a question for you, Yoli. Would you help a man to get in shape? Let's say he's got a little bit of a beer gut, whatever. Would you take him for walks and fix his diet and all that kind of stuff? And that's not only for you, but any woman in here. Would you do anything to help to fix that type of situation if you found the guy to be physically attractive, right? Generally men equal doers and women talkers. Prima VA, hello, welcome. Prime VA. Now I will say, after going to a free fitness cons, it is common to see older men with younger women than them. Both work out and have that in common. It's common to see older men with younger women. Yeah. So I think the common denominator is that they have something in common, that they're working out. And listen, I've said this before, right? If there's all things aren't going to be equal, and I think I don't think women would say this. I think all things being equal, and this is an unfortunate fact of life, but it's truth no matter what, is that if you got a guy, maybe he's 60 years old, he's working out, he's in the gym, he's in shape, and he's presented with a woman who's 60, and he's presented with a woman who's 40, he's going to go for the 40-year-old. I mean, that's just the way that it is. It's just the way that it is. So do the best you can to compete. But you as a 40-year-old, if you're a 40-year-old and there's a 40-year-old guy, he might go for the 25-year-old. So you got to, unfortunately, date up. You got to date up. So if you're 50, you got to go for the 65-year-old guy. I mean, if you're 50, yeah, 60, 65-year-old guy, maybe even 70. So it is what it is. I definitely dated older men when I was younger. See, that's what I'm saying. High vibe. The men get gaslit as if it's not been the case since high school. Come on. And 11, 12 gators dating college dudes with cars, or even dudes not going to college, just older and had a car. Well, we know it's gaslighting. We know what it is. and sooner or later it comes to you. Sooner or later it comes to your house, right? We know what it is. Sooner or later you're the one who's just like we were when guys passed over when I was in junior and senior in college, or junior and senior in high school, then my first couple years in college, right? I was going to community college, had to take the bus to get there and all this kind of stuff. And I seen these beautiful girls trying to talk to them, and you know, their boyfriends are pulling up, you know, pick them up from college. That was me, right? And then eventually, when you get a job, right? Now it's now you're 25, 30 years old. Now you're going to pick up your girlfriend in college, right? It comes around. It comes around. Mackie, yeah, and not even here during death, but we are dealing with a humanity and people is deeper than this game of 1 to 10. And now that I'm in my 50s, men is too old. Older men is too old. Okay, now they're too old. I got you. High vibe. All right, here we go. We played that video. What's next here?
And men, we'll start with that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yeah, I can hear you.
What you up to? It's loud in here.
Yeah, it is. I'm not up to much. I just left my one job. I'm headed to my second now. What you up to?
Nothing much. I'm here at the shop. My car needs a few things done to it.
Oh, for real? Like what?
It needs the brakes, rotors, and control shoulders replaced.
Oh, you must be talking about the control arms. Yeah, those shits can be.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, those shits can be pricey. What they got you quoted as for the parts and the labor?
Let me see. The paper. So it'll be $700 for parts and labor.
Oh, okay. Well, shit, that's better than what I thought from, just from what you were telling me. That shit could have been over $1,000. Just go ahead and get everything taken care of, and I'll go ahead and tell you. I get you squared away.
Thank you. I was really looking forward to get everything done today.
Well, glad I can help. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now. And if you need an Uber or something, just let me know, and I can send extra for that too.
You said if I what?
I said I'm sending that over now. But if they're gonna take too long with the car, then just let me know, and I'll get you an Uber sent over there for you.
So if you missed that, well, she was playing some video in the background, pretending as if she was in the auto shop, and obviously recording this for all to see, just to show that she could get this dude to do that. Now I don't know if this was a skit, the guy was in on it or what, but a lot of guys are watching these videos and catching on that, this is why you can't get fancy dates. This is why you can't get guys to cash app you anymore or whatever, right? I think either I dropped it or I have a video coming out about that. How come guys aren't buying us stuff anymore? I'm getting confused with the videos I released and haven't released yet. But this is it, right? So you got a woman on here showing how to game guys. And of course, we're the guys like myself and other guys in the red pill space, manosphere, whatever, are saying, stop doing this type of behavior. Stop doing this type of behavior, right? Unless this is your girlfriend in a committed relationship or, or cohabitating, or your wife, stop engaging in this type of behavior, right? And the caption up there was, again, we don't know if this is a skit or not, but the caption up there was, did I not ask for enough? And he was ready to kick out $1,000, thinking it's going to buy you access, right? Thinking it's going to get you in the door. So this is all the stuff, these videos and stuff. I'm painting the picture as to what men are dealing with in these days and times, right? Because women are trying to play men in general, and men won't let them do it. Exactly. Men are actually pro men and people, family, and people. Everyone be happy. Women are classist. One podcast I saw a day or two ago said that men don't like women anymore. I've seen a number of videos saying that. I must say that generally I agree, and entire sex is becoming unlikable, and it's a major problem. Yeah, there's a lot of women who are asking a question. Do y'all even like women? I mean, just outside of, the recreational type of stuff. Do you like our attitudes, the way we walk, the way we talk, the way that we interact and move about in the world? And I think that, I think a lot of brothers are checking out because of the videos that I've just played just now. The classism clashing with real life and real humanity as a whole. Let's see what else I got here. Generation love. Thanks for coming. Social media does not make women look good. No, it doesn't. You're absolutely right about that. Yes, Mackie KS championed average men. Yes, he did. All right, brother. Thanks for coming. Let's see. If men are derogatory and disrespectful toward the good guy, they are literally lowering men's attraction toward him. Men are messing up the game and don't realize it. If men are derogatory towards the good guy, they are literally lowering men's attraction toward him. Yeah, so I think that I think in this chat, I think we're all pretty positive people. So I'm going to say I haven't seen that. I'm not going to say I don't know that that's not going on. Calling women the B word, and men have always kind of been derogatory in some sense. But you got to stay away from those types of men, right? And just like you would tell me, and ladies would tell me and email me, say, "Why you play these videos? Right? You're making us all look bad." I'm just telling you what's out there, and of course, I'm not denying the fact that there are men out there who are derogatory towards women. I'm not denying that, right? I think we could all agree that 90s hip hop was vastly derogatory towards a lot of women. But we got to kind of pick and choose what we're going to associate ourselves with and be more selective. Not pick and choose, but be more selective, right? And so all these videos I'm playing, you guys have all said, listen, I've never treated men like that, or I've never argued about paying the bill. That's all great, but this stuff is out there. And I acknowledge that that men are doing this type of stuff out there. So as men, we tried to not to solve women's issues when they don't want or respect all men. A lot of guys are definitely pulling back. Definitely, we could do it together. We all have room to improve. Absolutely. It's dangerous for a woman to be with a man other men have no respect for. The tide will shift when men hold high respect for the I am me or nerd guy. When men hold respect for that I am me or nerd guy, or hold respect for the lame or nerd guy. No, I think the women, I disagree with you there, last name first. I think it's the ladies got to step up first for the lame guy. You guys got to be attracted. You got to select that man. You have to do it. The average guy, the lame, right? The guy who was rejected on the balloon pop show because he looked like he read books on vacation. Now, I agree he should be reading books on vacation. I agree with that. But that don't mean you can't get with him and then talk him out of doing that. That was a thing years ago, right? You didn't like the way a guy dressed. You got him and you cleaned him up and made him how you wanted him, right? I meant to do a video about the black white effect, but it kind of lost steam, so I didn't do it. But these black women who are dating out, getting these white dudes, and then getting them, swaggerless haircuts and changing up their wardrobe, right? And my question was always, how come you don't do that to the black dudes? If the guy's lame and corny, select him and then put him in the clothes you want him to wear and get his haircut the way you want it to be. So you have to select that man. Generation Love, simply being a provider is the workout. Simply being a provider is the workout. A man is a 5. If he's an honorable provider, he becomes a 7. If she has children and he doesn't, the man becomes an 8, 9, or 8 or 9. Don't lie to me. If she has children and he doesn't, the man becomes. So if a guy is attractive, he starts out. I know you're trying to say this to me. I'm trying to figure this out. Simply provider is the workout. A man is a 5. Okay, he starts at a 5. If he's an honorable provider, he then moves up 2 spaces to a 9, to a 7. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just acknowledging what you're saying. If she has children and he doesn't, the man becomes an 8 or 9. Don't lie to me. So, yes, if a guy is a 7, I think what you're saying is if he doesn't have kids, he's got good money, income, then he moves up to be an 8 or 9, depending on his looks and whatever other features. I would agree with that. Now, is it the same for women? Not necessarily, because women aren't looking for a provider. If she doesn't have kids, that's definitely pluses. And I think the physical attraction is going to make it more of that. So I hope I'm understanding what you wrote there. I hope so. If I'm not in tip-top shape, I wouldn't dare say anything to a man about getting in shape. Yeah. Well, can you get in shape together, I guess, is my question. Okay, continue on with a couple of videos here. We're 40 minutes in. Let me get through this.
This is the bullshit, right? I got snapped briefly.
This how you know women know it's bullshit. Cause they don't teach their sons that you don't take a bitch to fucking Cheesecake Factory. You take her to State 48 on the first date. They don't tell their sons, you know what you should do? You need to buy her bags, get her hair done, and get her nails done, and spend on your whole.
Just give her all your money. You spent all your money on her.
Mothers never tell their sons this hypothetical bullshit that they so-called preaching to the world. So that's how you know it's bullshit. You're not gonna let a little dirty ass girl from around the way use your fucking son for his money. There's hard working money. If your son, that's from high school.
Let's say your son work at Chick-fil-A. Your son work at Chick-fil-A. Matter of fact, the piggyback on that, your son work at Chick-fil-A. He get a little check. He come home, now he don't got no money. And he say, Mom, oh no, I gave my girlfriend all my money.
She had to get I got Tadisha hair and nails done.
I got her nails done.
You gonna slap the shit out of him.
You gonna call him a fucking dickhead.
Exactly.
Don't let no little fucking dirty girl use you. So this is where I'm like.
Is that how you would feel, Jayla J?
Yeah, I would. That's unacceptable.
Mom to be ready to fight the girl. Like, yo, you ain't gonna keep taking my. And I seen suck ass niggas that only way they knew to fucking keep a girl around them was to spend money. But I just don't hear that same message when raising their sons is what they preach on IG or these.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact, bro.
Yeah, 100.
I'm about to snap. This is the book.
Yes, so that's that. Peaceful life. Greetings to you, brother. Thanks for coming. These women already have men they're sleeping with. What they want is a man to provide favorable economic situation without having to submit to his leadership. A lady, unfortunately, one time told me that on a date one time. So, you know, they're all dealing with somebody, and nobody wants to hear that, right? Nobody wants to hear that you're dealing with somebody and I'm taking you out for dinner and stuff. Nobody wants to hear that. No man wants to hear that. Women are always improving men. A more interesting question is would a man be faithful and help a woman get in shape while dating? I think if she's worth it, I would. I mean, I think if she's worth it and she's got a great personality, maybe she can cook and maybe she's got really, a nurturing spirit, a good connections. Maybe she's got a good job where she's got connections. She's worth it, but she's just a little bit overweight. Why would you not help her to get in shape? Why would you not? I don't understand. I could be wrong though. Let's see. New York Chocolate had. Let's see. New York Chocolate said something. Jen Will, Karma is a B. That's scandalous. Welcome to you. Welcome. Why are men in other men's business telling them what to do with their money? That's the most ridiculous non-leadership. Because last thing first, you trolling me tonight. Men are in other men's business because what is done becomes the expectations. You got to see that. What is done becomes the expectation. So if in the video that I showed about the woman who was gaming this guy about pretending to be at a car dealership, if she gets away with that and guys don't talk about it and how men should spend their money, the next thing you know, we're all dropping $1,000 on fake stuff. So this is why we're talking about it. So we're going to continue to talk about it. So yeah. So I don't know if you're playing with me or not. And just the video I just played right now, right? And you're not telling your son to do that stuff. You're not telling your son to drop $700, $1,000, take this woman out. Don't care if she's dating with other people. You're not telling your son to do that kind of stuff. No way. Or your nephews or your little cousins or your little brothers. No way you're telling them to do any of that. Come on now. Let's Chocolate. What did you said something here I want to get to? But again, Dr. L, that's the younger generation. That's not the majority of women in the 30s and up. I don't know what you mean by majority. I'm not even sure if it's the majority in the younger generation. I'm just saying that this is a phenomenon and men are seeing this. And again, I've said and I've demonstrated that this has happened to me, and I'm 52 and I don't generally date anyone who's younger than 40. So this types of behavior are out there, and it may not be the majority of women in the women or 30s and up, but unless we check this behavior, my previous statement, unless we check this type of behavior, it's going to continue. So I don't know how many more videos I have to play here. This might be the last one. I want to get to the main event because we've been on for 45 minutes.
that's another thing that you all get mixed up. For some reason, you guys have this mindset, and I hear a lot of people telling you all this. If a man can't come in and help, if a man can't come in and take care of me, I don't want him. What world are you living in? Like, what world are you living in? Let's be real, okay? What world are you living in? A man who has a 9-to-5 job, okay? And just say he makes $65,000, $75,000 a year, okay? What makes you think that he could just fully take care of you? What makes you think that he can pay all of his bills, whether it's a house note, car note, insurance, his necessities, take care of himself, and then come take care of you too? All right? What world are you living in? Okay? This is what I'm trying to tell you about the people on this internet telling y'all this crap. All right? It doesn't work like that. You find yourself a companion, all right, a woman, all right? You guys come together and you make magic happen, all right? This is for the everyday American. This is how the everyday American operates, all right? It's no such thing that a man who just has a 9-to-5, okay, can literally fully take care of you like that. It just can't happen, all right? But what's the beauty about coming together as a couple, you all work together and you build together. That's how relationships are. That's how successful relationships are. Okay? It's no such thing you meet this man. If this man is not a millionaire or making 6 figures a year, it is impossible for him to do that for you. But that does not mean he's not a good man. That's the part y'all don't understand. Again, you all mess it up for yourself. And again, listening to these people on this internet telling y'all this stupidity. All right? It doesn't work like that. Couples come together and they build together. That's how it works. And then you look a few years later, 5 years later, you look and have come from, and it's like, wow, look, honey, we did this. Look, we did this together. That's how it goes.
Oh, thank you. Look at you, think you slick.
You ready for a good time?
Yeah, you gonna open the door for me?
I'm literally doing it right now.
Yeah, as you should. Thank you.
Oh.
What?
Let me check on something real quick.
Where you going?
Something in my spirit. Look at God.
I thought we was going to dinner. Hello, JB. Wow. Oh.
All right, so that last one was obviously a skit or setup, but that's the energy that we're trying to get men to move with, that you all are arguing with me about. And let's see here, last name first says just say no. Yeah, is just say no still a thing? Just say no, and that's what the last video showed. His brother was like, "Nah, I'm not having it." Nah, and that's what I'm saying about paying bills, or someone who you're just trying to get to know and starting off the date with negative energy and all that type of stuff. Yeah, just say no, right? So I do apologize for the previous lady who was a bit loud. I recognize that. So I do apologize that. JB is a wise man. Yeah. That last one was weird. Yeah, so that's a brother who recognized from jump. Listen, your energy is off. You see me open up the door and talking about, yeah, as you should, and all this kind of stuff, right? So hello to you, East Point. Thank you so much for joining. Statistically, it's not many women that are stay-at-home wives and moms. Majority of couples work together to take care of their families, and this is what most of us are talking about. This is what most of us are talking about. Women in video, as you should. Oh, JB. Oh, yeah. Oh, hell no. All right. So those are the warm-up videos. We got a few people in the building. Thank you so much for coming. I really, really do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit the like button. Hit the like button. Subscribe. We got a membership only. We got members only videos. I think we're going to drop one tomorrow. And consider becoming a member. and all that kind of good stuff. Hit the like buttons. If there's anything you want me to talk about, make sure you send me an email. I certainly will try to get to it. Garrett sent me a few things I'm trying to get to eventually. So we will get to it. So now the next videos or the main events for the evening is there's two YouTubers that I kind of follow. Shay Sharday, I kind of watch her stuff occasionally. So she did a video, Shay Sharday. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Okay, so Shay Sharday did a video that went I guess viral on X. I'm not on X, so I didn't know anything about it. So the other YouTuber that I mentioned is Sabby Sabs. And Sabby Sabs, who usually talks about this particular young lady here, usually talks about political stuff, what's going on with the Trump administration, what's going on with foreign affairs, things along those lines. So, but she happened to see this video on X, and then she on X, the video by Shay Sharday, and she did a response to the video. So in this video, we're going to play with her. She's going to talk about some of the statistical numbers that Black women are dealing with, and she's also going to mention Shay Sharday. We're going to do a second video. Hopefully, we're going to do a second video, and we're going to talk about Shay Sharday did a response to this video we're about to show right here. So that'll be the second video we're going to show. And then, and we're already an hour in. I should get through this faster. So then today, Shay Sharday did a live again addressing this issue. So we're not going to do that one, just show two videos. I am going to speed it up because I want to get through both of these videos. I am claiming fair use, trying to do this as academically as possible. But we're going to take a look at what they got going on. Let's see. What are you saying now? Last name. The problem is women were tired of being used for both tangibles and intangibles: feminine energy, sex, children, money, company support, nurturing, assistance, etc., etc. So it seems men are reaping what they sow. Okay, if that's I'm not one to say how you should respond, but I am going to try to stick up for men and say this is how they should respond. Now we can either continue to denigrate each other and continue this gender war, which is hurting us, or we can say, hey, here's some mistakes that we're making. Men should say, here's some mistakes that we're making. And I actually am very sensitive to the idea that men behave very poorly at certain times in history. I'm not above saying that. Does that mean that women ought to behave poorly today? And the men are saying, okay, we're just going to disengage. Okay, and the women are going to say we're going to disengage. Where's any of that going to get us? There's any of that going to get us? Yeah, I think she's. I don't know. I think she might have. She might have upset last name first. All right. So, okay. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to get into this video here.
Is going viral on X, and she is asking, why is it that only 27% of Black women are married in America? Now, people have come up with all different types of reasons, and I will show you an expose that I saw years ago on ABC, where they spoke to Black women who were professionals who were struggling, I guess, to find, a husband. And even though that was years ago, I'm going to show you that just to show you how, once again, this subject has come back up again in the US. And at the end of the day, I'm going to tie it all to math, because I, for one, don't believe that men are just sitting back and they're like, I do not find Black women physically attractive. Everybody has like their type, right? But I don't like that. I haven't had that experience. I don't think that's what this is really about. I think a lot of this comes to basic math. Now, this is the video that is going viral. We're going to go ahead and bring it in here, because once again, this subject is back in the headlines.
26% of Black women today in America, at least, are married. 26%. There's a reason for that.
Even if every Black man in America married a Black...
Advice to...
My apologies here. I sped it up and now it's too fast. I'm going to slow it down so we can all hear it.
They don't want to yield. They want to do their own thing. They want to remain single in marriage. Because as soon as
old in the head, we're going to go ahead and bring it in here, Because once again, this subject is back in the headlines.
26% of Black women today in America, at least, are married. 26%. There's a reason for that. And it goes down to perceptions we have about marriage. Submission is seen as, the submission is seen as some old patriarchal, domineering, disrespectful, oppressive idea. So they get in these marriages and they want to box with their husbands as soon as they don't agree. They don't want to yield. They want to do their own thing. They want to remain single in marriage. And that doesn't work very well. Because like I said, at the end of the day, no man wants to feel like they're married to somebody who's competitive or who's their competition. And that's what this is looking like. It looks really bad. It's really bad. Okay, so now I want to bring up, to continue this point, I want to bring up another clip that I saw of her giving advice to the younger generation.
So we pause it here. So this is the video that's giving people like vibes. And people are seeing this and they're like, is this real? Is that number true? So the number has changed over years. I'm going to show you the difference. But I gotta, I gotta say a couple of things before we get into what that number used to look like, right? Because years ago it was 42%, right? So let's talk for a second. First and foremost, many people will ask, has that been your experience? That has not been my experience. However, I do have friends that have had that as part of their experience. And as I told you earlier, I do not believe that the majority, the number one reason is, people just don't find Black women physically attractive and da-da-da. That is not what I believe.
That is not the issue. Your beauty is not the issue. Your Black women's beauty is not the issue. It's not. So if you believe that, this is why, guys are constantly telling you, take off the makeup, the weaves. It's not your beauty. It's not that. We love you just the way you are. We don't appreciate the BBLs and the fake eyelash. We don't appreciate that. Particularly, this space. We don't appreciate it. Just be yourself. It's not your beauty. But here we go.
I believe a lot of this comes down to simple math. When you look at a person's certain type, right? Black women, the studies show Black women are more likely to choose to date or to marry. Let's go with marry. They're more likely to choose to marry a Black man more than any other group. But do the numbers reflect that? So I'm gonna take you back to this segment on ABC. This is really interesting, right? I saw this on TV when it came out. Now this is like over 15 years ago. 42% of Black women are unmarried. Check this out.
It's just not that easy. For starters,
he just gave you.
That leaves only about half of more Black women than Black men. 1.8.
Black Men's Fair says, I think that men have to show that men are on the same on one page before the convincing of women of anything. I think men still have much work to do. Okay, what work do you think, Black Men is Fair? What work do you think the men have to do? Because as we're going to get into in this two videos I'm going to show, that men are 54% of Black men, in particular Black men, are single and in the middle class. Are single in the middle class and no kids. No kids, single in the middle and in the middle class. What work specifically would you say that men? You said men. What work do men? Now I know what other people have said, but I want to know what you think men have to do in order to catch up or show women that they're worthy of their attention or whatever. I'm interested in that.
0.8 million more. So even if every Black man in America married a Black woman today, 1 out of 12 still wouldn't make it down the aisle. Let's take 100 Black men. If you eliminate those without a high school diploma, those without a job, and the number of Black men between the ages of 25 and 34 who are in...
Why are you eliminating men without a without a college diploma? Why are we eliminating those men? Why are we doing that?
Without a high school diploma, those without a job, and the number of Black men between the ages of 25 and 34 who are incarcerated, that leaves only about half of Black men eligible to pop the question.
The incarceration rates, I've discussed that before. It's nowhere near as bad as people said. And I said college rates, and I thought she was talking about college, and she said high school, so that's my fault.
Let's go back to those numbers. Now, this was 15 years ago. And this is what I've been trying to explain to people. If you go back to what I said before, right, that
half of Black men,
54% eligible. So if you go back to what I said in the beginning, that Black women, most Black women are more likely to marry a Black man. Okay. Now think about the numbers that they just gave you. So this is including, there's more Black women than there are Black men. Then you have to remove those who are already married, those who are already taken, Don't forget the prison, the prison and industrial complex. I've talked about this before on the show, the school to prison pipeline. So that's two.
Again, that's not as bad as people think that it is. Not saying it's not bad, and there are a lot of brothers who do have felonies, which makes the seeming numbers seem as if it's more, even if though they've never been incarcerated. If they plead to a felony, that still counts as a felony on their record. So, but it's still not as bad as people say that it is. But here we go.
Some people marry people in prison, but most people don't. Let's just be real. Then you have to think about those who just don't want to be married and they want to be bachelors like forevers. It is what it is. That's 3. Then you also have to remove those who are not straight. Like, so you have to remove Black men that are LGBTQ, right? So the number, think about everything I just said. The number is going to continue to decrease of the men that are available to you. So you're working with a smaller pool. That's why I say a lot of this is basic math. Now, some people see this and they'll say, oh, well, Sabby, what do you know? You're married. I am, but I wasn't always married. So they say, oh, Sabby, what do you know? You're not married to a Black guy. No, I'm not. But again, I wasn't always married. Once upon a time, I did.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know she wasn't married to a Black dude. That's kind of, and because she's talking about Black issues and Black relationships and stuff. I don't know. I don't know. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but whatever.
I did date. So keep that in mind. Now we're going to go on a little bit more in this segment because I want you to see the women that they sit down and they talk to. All of these women have professional jobs, very smart. And I want you to hear some of the things that they say. Again, this was 15 years ago. And you tell me if this still holds true today.
And eligible to pop the question. Nicole sees the problem every day.
It is sad to see that the majority of the defendants that we prosecute are Black males. Those numbers can be very disappointing.
Admittedly, the selection of men is slim. Get it through your head. You're the Friday girl that's just for sex. That's what you are.
We broach this serious dilemma with comedian turned relationship guru Steve Harvey, author of the book Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man.
There are still a lot of good men out there who are being overlooked.
Harvey says Black women don't have to settle, but may need to compromise.
You a corporate exec? Does he have to be a corporate exec? You make $150,000 a year. He has to make 150 or above? That's your requirement?
So one of the things that Steve Harvey brings up here is that maybe the women are being too selective. But I want to play devil's advocate here for just a second, because I remember when I was in undergrad and I remember a lot of the women were selective. Okay. Like I remember regardless, Black women, white women, a lot of the women were pretty selective. And if we go back to the math, we go back to the numbers. When I was in college, the male to female ratio was not cool. There were way more women at my college than there were men. So you already have a shortage. And that's for everybody. I went to the university. I graduated from the University of South Carolina. There were more women than there were men, regardless of color. So there wasn't a guy for every woman at college. There just wasn't. And then again, you got to go through those deletions, right? You got to remove the ones that are already in a relationship. You got to remove the ones that are LGBTQ. You have to remove the ones that are not interested in having a partner. And I bring up college because what I noticed from my experience is that most of my female colleagues that are married their husband that they married, they met in college. I have 3 comrades I know from high school that married their high school sweetheart, but that's not as common nowadays. But only 3 of them that I know that married their high school sweetheart. One of them is divorced. People change. But most of my comrades that I know from college married the guy that they were in a serious relationship with in college. So if there is already a shortage of men at college, you're already working with a deficit. This is why I say math plays a part in that. Now, let's add on to that deficit a little bit, because like I told you, most Black women prefer to marry a Black man. So now if there are, we'll just use short numbers, like small numbers to make it easier. If there are 100 women at said college and there are 30 men, and let's say 10 of them are already in a relationship, let's say 5 of them may be LGBTQ.
Well, her math is way off. She should have used a number like 70 or 80, because 60% of colleges are women now. So, you got to get more, so that means if there's 100 people in college, or, just round numbers here, 10,000 people in college, 600 of them are going to be women. 400 or so would be men. So her number, going from 100 to 30 is not the exact proportion. So, but
guys left and there's 100 women. And then if your choice is to marry a Black man, let's say out of those 30 guys that, let's go a little bit generous, let's say 10 of them are Black. So you're working with a deficit, right? Now, here's what I'm not going to do, because I think people are expecting me to do this, and no, it's not happening. What I am not going to do is to tell you that you need to go date someone that is not black, right? People have their type, people have their preference, and you're attracted to what you're attracted to. I'm not one of those people that's going to tell you to go do that. But I do want you to understand that there is a deficit. You are working with more women and less men. Now let's look at these women that they talked to 15 years ago. Professional women. I want you to hear what they said.
What we looked at were the large numbers of professional black women who groomed themselves for success with BAs, MDs, and JDs. 70% of them are still without the more elusive title, MRS.
I'd be lying if I said that I don't have fleeting thoughts of, okay, I'm 32, my clock is ticking.
The tick-tock of the biological clock is getting louder for several of Nicole's single friends. Meet Chateau Waters. She's a 32-year-old high school counselor pursuing a doctorate degree in psychology.
We have this thing called the black girl curse. A lot of our white friends are married by 25, like happily married, kids by 27. And we're like, what is the deal with the BGs? You know,
that part is really interesting, right? So I can respond to that as well. That is something I did notice. Most of my white female colleagues got married pretty early. Like, granted, I went to school in the South, so just take that as an example. They're also in the South, so keep that in mind. But I can't count how many weddings I went to before I was 26. Can't count. But again, they married the guy that they were in a relationship with when we were in college. So they had already been together for like 4, 5, 6+ years. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, think about what she just said and think about the numbers that I just gave you. Once again, if she said they were already married by the time they were 25 and you're going back to college, there is already a deficit. We've covered on this show before that more black women are going to undergrad and pursuing master's degrees and getting higher education. That hasn't changed from when I saw this video. That has continued to increase. And women are saying that they're not seeing that same ratio when it comes to their potential partner at college. So how do you solve this? Because I don't like to leave people with this is the problem and what do you do about it? One of the things is you try to meet people in different places, right? At school, I feel like we're lucky because like when you're in high school, you're put in a building with people, said classmates, you guys have gym, you guys have all this kind of stuff. So you're put in a space together. When you go to college on campus, you are put in a space together. After you leave college, things are a little bit different. You may move to a new city. You may live in a different type of community. You may, I don't know, maybe you're spending a lot of time at work. So you may not be able to have as much time to have extracurricular activities like you used to when you were an undergrad. These things happen, right? So where can you meet people? A lot of people cringe at this, but nowadays, the big one is online. The big one is the social like dating apps. And I know some people that have had success on those apps. And I also know some people that have some crazy, wild stories by dating people on those apps. But that's one place where you can meet people. The other one is church. You know, if you go to church, if that's your thing, you can meet people at church. You can also meet people at other social like activities, etc. Sporting events, sports is a big one. You can meet people at like basketball games, football games, that type of thing. But it's tricky because at the same time, you don't want to make it seem like you out there looking for somebody if you're going to a basketball game. And oftentimes I think these things happen when you least expect it to. I didn't even expect to get married. It just happened. Like literally, like when I moved to Massachusetts, I didn't move here and say I was looking for somebody. It happened when I least expected it to. And I think sometimes that can be like the best case scenario when you're not looking and it just happens, right? And I want to hear from the men on this one too. Some of the things that I have heard from men is that they feel like there's nothing that they can offer you if you already have everything. So let's go back to the college thing again. If the numbers continue the way that they are, where there's more black women in college than black men.
Come on now. Thank you for this, Rhonda. Come on now. It's 40, I've seen 44, 42, somewhere in that range. 18 likes. Come on now. We ought to be at least 75%. So let's get to around 30 likes. Hit the like button. You guys are watching with your popcorn. You're interested, obviously, for some reason. You're in, you're out. Just hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit the like button. I don't beg for cash apps, although I do put it up at the end. I don't beg for super chats and all that. All that would be great. All that would be nice. I watch a lot of other podcasts that they're constantly pushing that stuff. I don't do that. I want to give information. I want to have conversations, give you guys a chance to talk and put your stuff on the screen. Come on now. At least the minimum you can do is hit the like button. Come on, please. Please hit the like button. You guys like to talk about Kevin Samuels. He used to play music until y'all get the like button up. And annoying music. Hit the like button, y'all. Come on.
So let's go back to the college thing again. If the numbers continue the way that they are, where there's more black women in college than black men, it could be possible that there could be some type of an intimidation factor. If a guy meets you and he sees that you have a bachelor's degree, you have a master's degree, you have a condo, you have everything that you need, he may be tempted to ask, what can I do for you? How can I help you if you already have everything? That's some of the things that I've heard from people. That doesn't mean don't go to school. That doesn't mean don't have a career, but it's just something to think about. Listen to what else they say.
And it's a black girl.
Jaqueen Ashford is a chemist for a pharmaceutical company. Now that she's 34, she's lowered the bar when it comes to height requirements.
I don't have a certain criteria, like if you're not 6'5", and I used to, but then as I got older, I said, okay, well, maybe if you're 6'3", 6'2", 6'1", okay, maybe we can see eye to eye. I kind of have certain standards that I hold myself to, and I don't feel like I should have to settle on those.
Okay. And then there's things like this. Now, again, this deal was 15.
She said you got to be 6'5" and 6'3", 6'1". She didn't say how tall she is, but okay, maybe just look eye to eye. We know how tall she is, but and I don't blame tall girls. If you're 5'10" or something like that, then okay, you need the tall girls. But again, I don't watch a lot of balloon pop stuff. But I saw this one lady. She said she was 5 feet and she needed somebody who was 6'3". Come on now, come on now. You 5 feet? You need somebody who's 6'3"? Crazy. Oh man.
15 years ago. I don't know. All of these women could be married today, as far as I know. I really don't know. But at the time, they were not. And they said they were looking for someone and they wanted to get married. This type of requirement where someone has to be 6'5". First of all, most men are not. I don't even think most men are 6'2". So that's a high requirement. Now I'm assuming this woman here, maybe she's tall. She's sitting down. So I don't know. Maybe she's tall. But I think that's a bit much. I think that's a bit much. 6'5", 6'6", or whatever. I mean, come on. Those like basketball player like heights. So most men are not that height. Someone said 5'9" is the average. So there you go. Yeah. So that is going to make it. That's going to make it harder for you.
For the sake of having somebody, I'm willing to wait.
Like many black men, she's also open to dating outside her race. In fact, in the past decade, the number of black women entering interracial marriage has more than doubled.
In fact, last night was at a restaurant. Had a great conversation with this Caucasian gentleman. I mean, we were vibing, we were clicking. I'm thinking, he's going to ask me my number. White men never ask my number. And he was like, all right, well, great conversation. Maybe I'll see you around. I was thinking, what happened?
Ask for his.
No.
We're maybe not as coveted as black men in society.
Melinda Watson is a 28-year-old payroll specialist. She hasn't had an exclusive relationship since college.
You hear what listen, we talked about the expectations, what you're doing, all that. You guys can rewind this and watch it again. We talked about, knowing a guy is taking you out on different dates, or you got somebody else that you're sleeping with, but this, that, and the other. You hear what she just said? This woman is a payroll specialist. She's a pretty woman. Payroll specialist. She's 28, payroll specialist. Hasn't had a serious relationship since college. 21, 22. Why didn't you marry that man in college? Why? What happened? Did you want to go off and do your career? Do you want to have hot girl summer? Did you want to, why didn't you marry that guy in college? Number one. And it's a serious relationship. Notice what they said. You shouldn't have a serious relationship. So are you sleeping with other dudes? Right. And so this is the reward system. And this is the videos that I played before. This is the reward system. You're rewarding men. Why, if all you talk about men, we talk about men getting on the same page. If the women got on the same page and said, listen, you can't get any cookie until you get married. No, can't get it. These are my standards. But she had non-serious relationships for at least 6 years if she graduated from 22. And that's assuming she got her bachelor's at 22. We don't know if she went to undergrad, or excuse me, grad school and got a master's degree at 25 or 26 or whatever she would have graduated then, or even we don't even know her educational level. She got a doctorate or what. But since college, she hasn't had anything serious. That doesn't mean she hasn't slept with people. Doesn't mean she hasn't been on dates. So you talk about men, it's a reciprocal thing. You ladies got to hold the line. You want better men. You want men to be committed in relationships. You got to do that. You got to do that. Thank you so much for Peaceful Life. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Let's see. I'm going to rewind this a little bit here.
Black men in society.
Melinda Watson is a 28-year-old payroll specialist. She hasn't had an exclusive relationship since college.
I just feel that there's a lot of taboo associated with dating black women because I don't think they're necessarily.
I said serious. They said exclusive. Excuse me. She hasn't had an exclusive relationship. So she's had, that's even worse. She's had relationships. They just haven't been exclusive. So remember the video that we played where the woman said, where the guy was challenging a woman? You know this man is sleeping with other women. You know it. You know it. And this video is 15 years old. You know this woman, you know this man is seeing other people, and you're going to be a 28-year-old with a degree and a good job, and you're going to deal with that type of dude. Why? Because he's swagalicious. Come on now. Come on now. Come on. What are we talking about here?
They're necessarily going to want to take us home to see mama.
The consensus in this group was that their preference is to marry a black man. It's not that they can't find one to date. The issue in many cases is exclusivity.
You meet these great guys, you have good relationship, good rapport, and then it's almost like, I'm going to keep you around, and hopefully when I'm ready to settle down, you'll be there. That's the back pocket.
The back pocket thing. So then I would say that maybe that's not a good guy. I don't know. Like, look, we all know out there, those of us that have been dating or have, dated in the past. Yeah, there are going to be some people that you date that are going to be committed and are going to want that. And there's going to be some people that you may go on a date with or whatever that don't want that. But what was kind of weird to me is that she said, well, he's a great guy, but he said, I'm going to keep you in my back pocket. I'm like, because I feel like that tends to be a little bit more obvious from the.
You know why they're going to put you in the back pocket? Because there's another woman who sees you and he's willing to go over and because another woman is willing to sleep with this guy, he's going to take it. That's exactly the video that I played before where the woman said, you guys can't keep your thing in your pants. You can't keep. They don't have to keep the thing in the pants, and somebody else is going to see you and then sleep with you. That's why I played that video. You guys want faithfulness in this thing. You got to. Everybody, particularly of class, and I'm talking about bachelor's degrees and up of class. I mean, that's one way of measuring class. It's just one way. Certain socioeconomic stuff. You got to demand that. You got to demand exclusivity. But if you're dating a bunch of different dudes, he's going to date a bunch of different dudes. If he's going to sleep around, you think you don't have to? I'm going to sleep around too, and I don't have to demand this exclusivity. Even though my last exclusive relationship was when I was in college. Come on now, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about?
From the get-go, from me. So. Again, this topic is brought back up into the spotlight again. And I just think that there's a lot of finger pointing. It's black women's fault, it's black men's fault, da-da-da. But when you look at the numbers just aren't there. The math just isn't there. Another thing I noticed too is that they brought up the part about interracial dating. I do remember this as well from college when I was in undergrad. It did seem like guys tended to be just more open in general. It seemed like guys tend to be a little bit more open about dating different types of women, right? Whereas the women tended to be a little bit more, no, like this is my type, this is what I want, like, etc. And I don't really know like how to fix all of that because like I really do feel like it's a math issue. I feel like it's a numbers issue. And I feel like in order to fully fix that, you have to fix the numbers. Because if the numbers aren't there, then no, there isn't going to be a black guy for every black woman because the numbers don't show that. And then the reality is not everybody wants to get married. Believe it or not, some women, and I know personally, told me they never want to get married. I know guys that said they never want to get married. And I think, each to his own. If that's what they don't want, that's what they don't want. But what I find interesting is that once again, this topic is back up in the news. And sometimes I wonder, what is the goal of the media? Why do they keep bringing this up every couple of years? The video I just showed you is from 15 years ago. This isn't the second time it's been brought up after this. It's been brought up before. So why does the media keep bringing it up?
And it doesn't really have to be marriage, as she said. I'm going to stop it right there because I'm going to get to the next video. So it doesn't really have to be marriage, but this exclusivity, right? I mean, you want somebody to partner up with and go through life with for an extended period of time. And of course, if you're going to bring in children in the world, you got to have some type of sustainable, relationship, long-term relationship, whether that's religious marriage or something else. I definitely agree when guys say I don't want the government in my stuff. I can't. I'm going to tell you right now, I can't see me ever doing that again. But I definitely want somebody who I can be with, my ride or die. I definitely want that. Let's see. Women can't control their urges either. Well, I think that's definitely true. I think that's probably truer for men. Truer for the women than for men. That's just my opinion, because you get some women, not all women, but there's certain, probably a minority population of women who just like, I just need a man. I just need this. I just need it. So, all right. Somebody said something about I'm not going to sift through that, try to find the comments. But somebody said something about the attitude and how women, in particular women of class or women of certain socioeconomic status are showing up. That was in the comments there. So we're going to get to the next video here. We're going to stop sharing that. And we're going to show, Shay Sharday, that video I just showed you. Shay Sharday did a response to this, and she's going to talk about the attitude problem. So Sabby Sab's issue was the numbers. I can grant there's not enough men, raw numbers wise, in any race, and there's probably not enough high powered men but how are we defining high power? Does he got to be 6'5"? Does he got to make a certain amount of money? Does he have to does he have, you got a master's degree? Does he have to have a college education? Right. I think if you stop accepting those types of numbers, we might be able to get somewhere if you are looking for marriage, if you are looking for something long-term partnership wise. And again, I'm going to say you have to hold the line. Ladies, you have to hold the line. If you are knowingly entering into non-exclusive relationship where you're sleeping with some dude, and somebody wrote this in one of my comment sections. I think I took a picture of it on my phone. They're saying women today would rather deal, women, particularly women of substance, would rather deal with a guy who's got higher substance than to deal with an average guy. And that was her term, average guy. So a woman who's got something going on, she's got a degree, she's got a good job, she's got her own condo, whatever she's got, she would rather deal with a guy who's higher and be in his rotation. This is her words in the comment section in one of the videos I had. They would rather deal with that than deal with an average guy. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with, right? All right. So Shay Sharday is going to speak to this. Now, I have not watched Shay Sharday's response to this, and again, she did another response today. She did another response today that I was watching live. We're not going to respond to that one, but here's Shay Sharday, the originator of this, responding to Sabby Sabs. So I have not watched this, so here we go.
Is going viral on X, and he's asking, why is it that only 27% of Black women are married in America? Now, people have come up with all different types of reasons, and I will show you an expose that I saw years ago on ABC, where they spoke to Black women who were professionals who were struggling, I guess, to find, a husband.
Black men are in crisis. We start hearing that they're gay or that they're snow bunnied or that they are in prison. There's not enough of them who are marriageable. So she's going to go down the laundry list. But the whole premise of this entire conversation is Black men are in crisis. That is the foundational starting point.
And even though that was years ago, I'm going to show you that just to show you how, once again, this subject has come back up again in the US. And at the end of the day, I'm going to tie it all to math, because I, for one, don't believe that men are just sitting back and they're like, I do not find Black women physically attractive. Everybody has like their type, right? But I don't like that. I haven't had that experience. I don't think that's what this is really about. I think a lot of this comes to basic math. Now, this is the video that is going viral. We're going to go ahead and bring it in here, because once again, this subject is back in the headlines.
26% of Black women today in America, at least, are married. 26%. There's a reason for that, and it goes down to perceptions we have about marriage. Submission is seen as, submission is seen as some old patriarchal, domineering, disrespectful, oppressive idea. So they get in these marriages and they want to box with their husbands as soon as they don't agree. They don't want to yield. They want to do their own thing. They want to remain single in marriage. And that doesn't work very well. Because like I said, at the end of the day, no man wants to feel like they're married to somebody who's competitive or who's their competition. And that's what this is looking like. It looks really bad. It's really bad. Okay, so now I want to bring up, to continue this point, I want to bring up another clip that I saw of her giving advice to the younger generation. Then we're going to break that down.
So I pause it here. So this is the video that's giving people like vibes, and people are seeing this and they're like, is this real? Is that number true? So the number,
I want to fast forward this and hear what her response is, because she's just playing everything we played, and I don't want to play that again. So let me try to fast forward this here. I haven't watched this, so I don't know any of the times. This is Shay Sharday. This is her responding to the video we just saw.
or to marry, let's go with marry, they're more likely to choose to marry a Black man more than any other group. And the perceptions of Black women. And so that the argument made is that Black women are so loyal to Black men, and that is why they have not married white men. But that is a false premise, because again, men are the one who actually propose. And one of the issues that some of my research that I shared in some of the previous video showed was that perceptions about Black femininity are still very negative when it comes to other races and their perceptions of Black women. And so that could be a reason that we don't see Black women marrying out to white men or other races as much, not because they don't want to, but because some of these men of other races still have negative perceptions about Black women as far as them being wife material. So that it could be the reason why you see the marriage rate being less for Black women, not because there's lack of desire, but perhaps there's just lack of options. They're more likely to choose to marry a Black man more than any other group. But do the numbers reflect that? According to that data, and to be clear, it pulled from about 1 million online
online users who were on sites such as OkCupid and other online dating profiles. It also included in-person interviews. Based upon that data, it showed that women across the board of multiple races, they responded first to white men. White men were their primary preference. And then second was men of their own race. That's what I was saying. And yes, that is including Black women. More specifically, Black women had a preference for white men first, according to this online data. And then secondarily, they had a preference for Black men. That's what I'm saying. Check it out. Check out the book. I referenced it, written by 2 sociologists, just published, I think about a year or 2 ago. Very interesting and very relevant.
So I'm going to take you back to this segment on ABC. This is really interesting. Will go very interesting and very relevant. Was published, I think about a year or 2 ago. Very interesting and very relevant.
So the book is called The Dating Divide. I can't stand when people put all these different numbers over here. So if you want to look at this book that she's talking about, it's called, the name of the book, The Dating Divide. That's why I want to get there.
So I'm going to take you back to this segment on ABC. This is really interesting, right? I saw this.
We saw
the same is true for women of all races. That's not really a point.
1.8 million more. So even if every Black man in America married a Black,
yada 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 yada, there's problems and all that. Y'all know the drill. So this was debunked again years ago. Let me share this with you guys real quick. Some sources for you guys to check out. The myth that there are more Black men in prison than in college, debunked in one chart. This is kind of talking about how, look, we're having these conversations about, all these Black men are in prison, but you have more of them in college than in prison. Vox talks about this. There's other sources. Again, I linked this to the in the description box, but really, this talking point is kind of been debunked.
Let's go back to those numbers. Now, this was 15 years ago, and this is what I've been trying to explain. Okay, now think about the numbers that they just gave you.
Now, of course, there's a lot of people who are going to push back to that, right? There's stats that say the majority of Black men are at least in the middle class, if not higher. Yeah, I think it's over 50% of Black men today, right, of marrying age are single and childless, and in the middle class. And so, just from a strictly monetary standpoint, there's an argument that says, no, we're not. Like, we're fine. We are fine. Meanwhile, however, let's just say everything she said is true. Let's just forget about what Black men have achieved economically. Let's forget about where they're at. Let's forget about their socioeconomic status in comparison to Black women. Let's just forget about that and assume.
Y'all see how Mr. Charles get donated 99 cents there? Y'all, I'm just saying there, right? I don't beg for that stuff. At least hit the like, but it would be nice if you bought me a sandwich or a coffee or something. But at least hit the like button.
Assume that Black men are in crisis. Do you mean to tell me that Black women are not? Black women really are not in crisis? And this is what happens, right? We start with the facts. Oh, well, there's more Black women starting businesses. Okay, well, there's more Black women going to college. Okay, there's more Black women fill in the blank. But it's like, okay, again, just because, first of all, more women of all races are in college than men. So that's like a mute point. Second of all, yes, Black women are some of the most enrolled, but also some of the most in debt. There is I shared this in a video a couple of months ago, right, where it talked about how Black women, they were getting more degrees and also having a higher amount of debt. And it was taking them a lot longer to pay it off in comparison to other races of women. Not to mention that about 1/3 of women are like out or below the poverty line, according to Black demographics, the last that I checked. And so the problem that I have with these conversations is just Black men being in crisis is that assumes that Black women aren't. They're born in the same household, coming up under the same parents, under the same single mothers, under the same whatever.
So this is including, there's more Black women than there are Black men. Then you have to remove those who are already married, those who are already taken. Don't forget the prison and industrial complex.
Jane Crow, women's mass incarceration, which is specifically dealing with the rising rate of incarceration among Black women. I know she talked about there being exponentially more, let's see if I can find this, women who are incarcerated, or exponentially more Black men who are incarcerated than Black women, with respect to the other populations. Let me see, there's this one part in particular I want to highlight. Let me see. So in this whole point, the whole purpose of this basically is to actually break down how, but case in point, you're starting to see more Black women go into prison. There's a rising rate, and this is just women in general. They're starting to see more of an increase, but of course, surprise, surprise, this is exponentially or uniquely impacting Black women the most. So this is one section of the article. Here it says, for example, the U.S. Department of Justice reports that the rate of incarceration for Black women is 113 per 100,000, more than twice that of white females. The data is even more troublesome for young Black women in their late teens and early adulthood, as they are 5 times more likely to be incarcerated than their white counterparts. So if you want to talk about there being a exponentially higher rate of Black men in prison with respect to other populations, the same can be said for Black women. Then you have to think about those who just don't want to be married and they want
to. Let's see. There will continue to be increasingly undesirable behaviors so long as Black men continue to publicly declare how little they care about or respect the same woman they want them nonsense. Women they want them nonsense. Here's the issue. This is the gender war talk more. Here's the gender war talk more. It's more finger pointing, more blaming, and I hear the frustration. I'm not trying to pick on you, last name, but this is the frustration that we got going on here, right? So women have said, from the man's perspective, from a male perspective, men have said, we're sick of these women saying they're strong, independent, they don't need no man. They're sick of that. And you're saying that there's undesirable behaviors because men are publicly declaring how little they care about or respect it. I don't know when are men doing this. I mean, there's a response from the quote unquote manosphere. I don't know if it's the same level. I guess you're seeing it that way, the same level of disrespect. I'm just saying the men are saying, listen, this is what we want from our women, and we don't want to hear that you're strong, independent. And as Sabby Sabs did say, is that a guy wants someone who wants him. And if you got your house, car, this, that, and the other, then you can, what role do I play in your life? So guys, I think, are a lot of times trying to figure out what role that is. So, I just don't think any of this talk, is productive. Coming from the women, coming from the men, I don't think any of this is productive. 40 in the chat, 29 likes. Hit the like button, y'all. It's currently 2 million inmates in America, and Black men are only 25% of that, well under 1 million. This is what I'm saying. Yeah, so the incarceration rates has always been an excuse. And I think that number is lower than that, right? The height of the prison industrial complex was something like 2.3 or 2.4 million people. And that was, 2002, 2003. And that at that time, I think the percentage of Black men in there was 38%. Whatever number that boils down to, it's something like, it's still less than a million men. So where were all these Black men are incarcerated at? What are you, out of the 40 million people, 40 million or so men at that time, if there's 20 million men, 1 million of them are incarcerated. Is this a crisis? I'm not saying that, our prison industrial complex isn't a problem. We're 25% of the world's population. Excuse me, we're 4% of the world's population has got 25% of its incarcerated people. The United States definitely has an issue, but it ain't all, dusty Black men running around here in prison and in jail and stuff, right? Devani Hodges, hello to you. The man she was dating, the 28-year-old woman in college, was more than likely not even thinking about marriage. I don't think most Black men in college are thinking about finding a wife or getting. So I am not going to disagree with that. They have to. We often say the women have to get married in college, but the men have to get married in college too. I will definitely say that loudly and clearly. So they have to be trained and taught to look for that. But again, if they are outnumbered and you got one woman, you got one guy being chased by 10, 15 ladies, he might play the field. I'm not excusing that type of behavior. And I think that the guys have to say, or mentors or uncles or fathers and stepfathers and pastors and all that have to say to the men, settle down. That was the argument we had before is, I'm not seeing that type of behavior. A lot of times we're telling men, this is the narrative I think a lot of women are embracing, that guys are championing, running around out here and all this. But anyone who's worthy worth of their substance or worth their salt would say, listen, you need to settle down, because if you're out here, you're creating havoc, creating children out of wedlock, messing over women, and creating broken homes and all this, risking STDs and all this type of stuff, right? So I think men of substance are telling men to also get themselves together. and not run around. And they should be told too when they're in college to get married. The other thing is that a lot of times women, again, we talked about this, a lot of times women are looking for guys who are older than them. So if you're looking at if you're in college and she just said, let's be very clear about what she said, the 28-year-old woman. She said that her last exclusive relationship was she was in college. We don't know if that guy was in college himself, because a lot of times the ladies are looking for guys who are already established, right? They're already established. Maybe they're out of college. Maybe they're working on their graduate degree or whatever. Or maybe they're building a business. So if you're 22 years old and there's a 22-year-old guy who's in college with you, or there's a 30-year-old guy who's looking at you, or 28-year-old guy who's looking at you, who's got his own car, house, this, that, and the other, he's more established. Which one are you as a 22-year-old woman going to look at for serious long-term relationships? Well, we don't know. But I do agree that the men ought to be told at an early age to seek these type of men out, seek out marriage. I do agree with that. Let's see. I don't think that most black men in college are thinking about finding a wife or getting married. I don't think American black women, men and women, are taught to look for partners in college. So I definitely agree with that. All right. Let's see. I can't encourage young men to marry feminists. It will end in broken home. Give up feminism first. Even here in Hawaii, I mean, I'm jealous here in Hawaii. I loved Hawaii. Even here in Hawaii, black people are only like 2% of the population, but it's not rare to see married to a Polynesian or Asian. It's plenty of black men in the world ready to marry. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Dr. L, to that point, then is why we need to stop dealing with people that don't measure up or meet our standards. I agree with you, New York. These women that are acting that way will learn and change their behavior. Then these women that are acting that way will learn and change their behavior. I agree with you. 100%. I agree with you. Listen, I talked about the mating problems, the mate selection problem that we have from men and women. Let's continue on with this.
They want to be bachelors like forevers. It is what it is. That's 3. Then you also have to remove those who are not straight. Like, so you have to remove black men that are LGBTQ, right?
Okay, so let's start with the black men are gay. This is something that I've heard time and time again. There's too many gay black men. There's too many down low black men. So that just remove them from the population. Again, what is missing from that conversation is, okay, well, what percentage of black women are gay or queer or bisexual? So you mean to tell me that every single black woman is heterosexual, but only black men are gay? Y'all see what I'm saying? And so a lot of the talking points that I think we're going to hear in this video as we move forward can literally be applied to women, and sometimes even more so. Let me show you a source just to kind of give you guys some context if we really want to get into who is what. If we want to do the whole, well, who's, they're gay, yada, yada, yada. This was shared back in 2019, and trust me, guys, there are many sources. This is just one of many sources. This one says 22% of young black women now identify as bisexual. So if you want to talk about queerness, LGBTQ, same gender loving, black women are not excluded from that. If anything, they're arguably embracing the lifestyle more so than black men. So, reading it a little bit, it says, since 1972, social scientists have studied the general social survey to chart the complexities of social change in the United States. Let me move forward. It says, in the 10 years of the general social survey has included a question on sexual identity, rates of identification among gay men, lesbian women, and bisexual men in the U.S. haven't changed much. Bisexual identifying women, on the other hand, account for virtually all of the growth among those who say they're lesbian, gay, or bisexual. Of all the women who responded to the 2018 survey, more than 1 in 18 identified as bisexual. 1 decade ago, only 1 in 65 did. So basically what it's saying is the amount of gay men, let me see. Yeah, it says that amount of gay men, lesbian women, and bisexual men hasn't changed much, but there has been a huge growth among those who are basically among women, right? When it comes to identifying as being bisexual. Then it goes to break it down here a little bit more specifically. It says by 2018, a few years ago, we wrote about how approximately 18% of young black women identified as lesbian or bisexual in the 2016 General Social Survey sample. This rate was more than 2 times higher than for white women or other racial groups, and almost 4 times higher than for men of any racial group. Let me repeat this. It says the rate was more than 2 times higher than for white women, and almost 4 times higher than for men of any other racial group. So if we really want to talk about, getting in the nitty-gritty of who is LGBTQ, who is queer, based upon the evidence, we're seeing it is women who are really embracing their lifestyle so much more. And so the problem that I have with this black men are gay narrative is that it always assumes that all these women are just completely straight, that they're not on the spectrum, that they're not bisexual. And what we are actually seeing, what some of the different research is suggesting, is that not only are women more quick to embrace different sexual orientations, it is actually growing among women. It is especially growing among black women. Granted, this is just one survey, right? But there are plenty more out there. So this is just one. Let me share something else for you guys, and then we're going to continue. If you want to get into the whole black men are gay, yada 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 yada. Let's here's another one, because I wanted to bring a little bit of research for you guys. This one is when the rainbow is not enough. This is blackcensus.org. So it just looks at the community as it relates to black people and specifically. I want to go briefly into this one part because I think this is important. If we scroll right down here and it says Black census respondents by sexual orientation, we see lesbian 3%. We see gay 3%. What that's essentially saying is that based upon this research, it's saying that the percentage of lesbian and gay men are pretty close based upon the census. And again, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty, here's about 17 pages here. I have the sources actually linked in the description. But case in point, if we want to say that black men are gay, black women are gay too. Or there is an equal amount of black women who are gay to actually go along with that, if not arguably more so. So again, a lot of these talking points that I said we're going to go over can actually be applied the other way around, which means it's null and void. But let's continue.
So the number...
Fast forward again. We've heard Sabby Sabs.
Defendants that we prosecute our black males, those numbers can be very disappointing.
You mean to tell me for a pookie, there is a this? We got the Sukianas of the world. We got that culture is being fed and funded. They have millions of followers. So don't act like, because what she's describing is a Pookie and Ray Ray type. But don't act like Pookie and Ray Ray don't have a counterpart. Don't act like they ain't got Shanae, right? Like, don't act like that don't exist. It obviously does. They're being funded, right? They have followers. They have supporters. You got people out there talking about this one right here. Michael B. Jordan is cute, but he don't have any edge. He just look, I don't know, responsible. He looked like he know where his birth certificate at. That got 14.5 million views, 11.9K retweets, almost 9,000 quotes. Look at the amount of likes. Listen. So again, let's not act like for every Pookie and Ray Ray, there is not. Let's not act like that don't exist. That's also removed from the conversation because again, we want to talk about marriageable black men. We cannot assume that every woman is marriageable. We cannot. The starting point should not be that the entire human population, all black women are marriageable, that they're starting from that point. They're not. Like, not everybody is marriage material. Let's let that sink in, okay?
I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault.
All right, so that's jeez. All right, so that's Shay Sade. That was her response. And she recorded a day or so ago. And tonight she just did one. So you can go over to her channel and watch her. She did a live talking about this again. And yes, you're right. Pookie and Ray Ray equals Keisha. Well, I think Keishas are upwardly mobile, though, right? Aren't Keishas? Because the name Keisha comes from Keisha Lance Bottom, right? Or the former mayor of Atlanta. I think that's where it came from. I don't know. But anyway. So that's the presentation for tonight. Listen, those two. So again, Shay Sade then went after or talked about this issue again, looking at the numbers again. And I was watching it before I booted up here, talking about the numbers again, talking about the Keisha problem, the issue with the Michael B. Jordan, as she mentioned. A lot of ladies don't want swagless dudes. Right. I think that's one of the biggest things y'all gotta, from a guy's perspective. I think that's something you guys gotta fix. Your mating strategy is overlooking these dudes. And again, if you're willing to fix up the white guy and give him, call it the black black woman, whatever that was, a black woman's edge or black woman effect. If you're willing to do that for those dudes, you're not willing to do for the black man. That's something you guys gotta deal with. And really try to fix that. Thank you so much for that, Rhonda. I really, really appreciate it. Enjoy your sandwich. I definitely will. I definitely will. Oh, and by the way, so the place where I get sandwiches, there's the owner of the shop is going to come on the show because she was, she wants to talk about her health journey. So I met her today, and we're gonna set something up in a couple of weeks. I think we're gonna record it, but I may be able to talk her into doing it live. So we'll see. Keisha's are 70s babies, so we'll see. Like I said, I never focused on a bad woman. Now a sexy red is popular. It doesn't matter what women want. Yeah, those white guys looked sad before the effect. Yeah, exactly. So why don't you fix up the black dudes? This, this is the mating issue that we have. This is the mating issue that we have. This is the problem. So we got to fix it. So listen, I don't want to leave you guys with just a bunch of negative stuff, right? So you guys got to talk to, and I'm talking about to the men and women, right? We got to fix this culture. And so I think that we have to really have a time of talking to our cousins, our sons, our daughters, our nephews, our nieces, our godchildren, and really try to get them to go on the right path. Get your boys to value education, to stay in school, to graduate, to stay out of prison, stay out of the run-ins with the law. If they don't want to get a formal education, at least get a trade, HVAC, carpentry, something. Set up their own business. We got to really instruct these kids to do that type of thing. That is the most important thing I want to say about that. And so we can, it's going to take a little bit of time to turn around. And again, these numbers that we're looking at, it may seem a little bleak, but the people who are good people and who want to be married should be able to find each other. So we got to avoid the Pookies and Ray Rays, just like we got to avoid the Pookishas, right? So, but we got to create less of them, and we create less of them by actually partnering up. And remember that loud video that I played, the loud woman, when she said, get over these standards, and this guy's got to take care of you, that kind of stuff. Just partner with somebody who's got a good attitude, who's working. Maybe he doesn't have any felonies or this, that, and the other. Get with those types of dudes, right? And seek out those types of people. And to last name first, and after men have access to good, well-behaved women, what, I don't know if you meant to say did or do they do with them, what are their intentions, where will they learn to be in relationship with the type of woman they seek? I think that we got to create these environments, whether it's podcasts like mine, or I think I'm trying to do some good work, create some positivity, and what should they do with them. And again, we talked to the men about having, measuring up, but the women have to do that too. And yes, the men have to have good intentions. I'm saying that clearly. I said that before. We got to teach the men that when they go to college, okay, you got to be focused not only to graduate, but look for yourself a good woman, right? And if they're overlooked because they're not old enough or because they're not established enough, then one day they'll be 30 or 28 and just stay on their game and stay on their grind until they get to that place. Thank you for that question. And that's thank you again to Rhonda. Somebody said something about swag. Okay, here it is. What a woman going to do with a dude with swag? LOL, sex him. I mean, come on. Well, but again, if they can discipline themselves to say, right, they're overlooking Michael B. Jordan, because he's lame, corny, right? He knows where his birth certificate's at. And there was something else that was I saw the other day. There was a video. I can't find it though. There was a video I want to play. Where this woman said one of her icks was a guy who was a good father, because a guy who was a good father was going to be responsible, and he's not going to come see her when she wants, or she want to go to the movies, and she want to go out for drinks. This guy's taking care of his kids, and she don't want a good dad. This was a real thing. Is it the minority of people? Is she young? Probably, and yes, right? But I'm just saying this type of stuff can act as a mind virus and cause younger people to say, this is the type of dude that I'm going for. And when the comment about Michael B. Jordan knowing where his birth certificate is at, we don't want this type of thing to fester in the minds of people. because again, I'm saying that we feed on each other. We are symbiotic. If the women are going after that type of man who doesn't know where his birth certificate's at and who is responsible, if they're not going after that type of man and they're all going after the negative type of dude, then all it's going to do is create more women going after that type of dude, because that's where they're going to be following that type of trend, and it's going to continue to create more men who are going to embrace that type of behavior. Why? Because those type of men get all the chicks. So it's a symbiotic relationship that we have to really try to conquer. So let's see here. Yes, too many of those going on here. Yeah. We keep men out of the trick bag. Yeah, we got to keep men out the trick bag. Yeah, stop simping around and and go to the shop. You know, in the video I played before, if a woman that you're interested in, excuse me, let me back that up. A woman that you're dating in a long-term relationship is with is having car trouble, you go to the shop, make sure she's there, because these women are on her gaming and scheming and all that. And if you're a guy who's just sending women money just for this, that, and the other, stop doing that type of stuff, because you're creating this whole environment of craziness and nonsense. So yes, to Black Men Affairs, stay out the trick bag. Stay out the trick bag. So that's it. Let's see. Both my boys, college educated, single, no kids, 6'5", 6'9". They're not interested in marrying these modern women. Wow. That's saying something there, brother. All right. So I appreciate you guys hanging with me. It's been almost 2 hours. I hope that I presented a good conversation here. Go over to Shay Shardae's channel, give her some likes for her stuff. Also, Sabby Sabs. And I watched about half of Shay Shardae's response again today. So that's it. I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat. Guys, take care of yourselves. Much love and peace. Thank you so much. Hit the like button on your way out. I would really, really appreciate it. Hit the like button on your way out. Take care of yourselves. Much love and peace. Thank you to those of you to Peaceful Life and to Rhonda for the super chats. Also, you can send me, if you want to buy me some lunch or something like that, you can hit me on Cash App at CPTL Hunter or $CPTL Hunter, and hit that like button, subscribe, share, all that kind of good stuff on your way out. I really, really would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. Much love and peace.